You see, in life, there are four things that can either lift you up to greatness or drag you down to nothing: your mouth, your mood, your money, and your mind. They may sound simple, but they are the gatekeepers of your destiny. Every word you speak, every feeling you allow to take control, every dollar you spend or save, and every thought you feed will determine where you end up. Too many people sabotage their own future not because the world was unfair, but because they lost control of these four things. They underestimated the power of discipline. Your mouth is the first one. Words carry weight. They can build bridges or burn them to the ground. The wrong sentence said at the wrong time can destroy years of effort, respect, and relationships. The right words, on the other hand, can open doors you never thought possible. People remember what you say long after you've forgotten it, so you must learn to pause, to think, to speak life, not poison. The undisciplined mouth is dangerous, not just to others, but to yourself. Then there's your mood. Emotions are like storms. They come and they go, but if you let them steer the ship, you'll find yourself wrecked. Anger, envy, frustration. If you live inside them, they will dictate your decisions, and your decisions shape your reality. Controlling your mood doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't let feelings rule you. It means you can be calm in chaos, patient when pressured, steady when others crumble. The world respects people who master their emotions because those are the ones who can be trusted to lead, to endure, to win. Now let's talk about money. Money is a tool, but too often people become slaves to it. Some chase it until they forget themselves, and others waste it until they have nothing left. The way you handle money reveals your mindset, whether you think long-term or short-term, whether you value growth or instant pleasure. Discipline with money isn't about being cheap, it's about being wise. It's about knowing when to invest, when to hold back, when to prepare for tomorrow instead of living recklessly today. Mismanaged money creates stress, broken homes, and shattered dreams. Controlled money builds stability, freedom, and opportunities. And finally, the mind. The mind is the battlefield. If you lose there, you lose everywhere else. Your thoughts shape your beliefs shape your habits, and your habits shape your life. Feed your mind with negativity, and you'll never rise. Fill it with doubt, and you'll never move. But guard it, train it, strengthen it, and nothing can stop you. The strongest prisons are not made of steel, they're made of thoughts. Break those chains, and you'll see how far you can go. Control your mouth, mood, money, and mind. Because if you don't, something or someone else will. Your mouth is the doorway to your destiny. The words you release into the world are not just sounds. They are seeds. They carry power, they shape perception, they influence how people treat you, and they create an echo that always returns. Every word has the ability to build something or break something. Too often, people speak without thinking, releasing poison when they could have spoken life, cutting ties when they could have built bridges, closing doors that might have led them to opportunities. What you say in anger, in frustration, or in carelessness doesn't vanish just because you forget it. It lingers in someone else's memory, shaping how they see you, how they trust you, and how they choose to deal with you in the future. That is why control over your mouth is one of the most important forms of discipline you can ever learn. Think about how many lives have been ruined not because someone acted violently, but because they spoke recklessly. A single insult can damage years of trust. A single rumor can destroy a reputation. A single lie can dismantle the foundation of love and respect. On the other hand, a single encouraging word can spark confidence in someone who was about to quit. A single apology can heal wounds that festered for years. A single vision spoken with conviction can inspire an entire generation. Words have power to kill and power to give life, and every time you open your mouth, you choose which one you are unleashing. The truth is, silence is often more powerful than speech. There are times when the best response is no response at all, when walking away protects your dignity more than any comeback ever could. Too many people fall into traps because they feel the need to prove themselves with words. But the loudest people are rarely the strongest, and the wisest voices are often the ones that speak last, or not at all. When you learn to pause before you speak, you give yourself the ability to measure the weight of your words. That pause can save you from regret, from embarrassment, from consequences you didn't intend. Control over your mouth is not just about avoiding negative speech. It is also about cultivating positive speech. If you only hold back insults but never give compliments, you have only mastered half the discipline. Speaking life into people, encouraging them, lifting them up, reminding them of their potential, that is what makes your words valuable. Think about leaders, mentors, and role models. People remember them not for the times they stayed quiet, but for the words they spoke that resonated deep, that pushed others to dream bigger, that reminded others they were capable. You can be that person. Your words can become the reason someone keeps going when life tries to break them. It also matters how you talk to yourself. The voice in your own head is just as important as the one others hear. If you constantly curse yourself, doubt yourself, or tear yourself down, then you are poisoning your own spirit before anyone else has the chance. The words you speak internally become the beliefs you carry, and those beliefs dictate your confidence, your actions, and ultimately your results. If you want to control your destiny, you must first control the dialogue you have with yourself. Speak strength, speak faith, speak possibility. Even when life is hard, remind yourself that the storm doesn't last forever. Your mouth can be your greatest asset or your greatest downfall. What you speak today will echo tomorrow. Words are free to release but expensive to repair once they cause damage. That's why discipline here matters. When you learn to control your mouth, you learn to control the narrative of your life. You become someone people respect, someone people listen to, someone whose words matter because they are rare, intentional, and powerful. Your mood is like the weather of your soul. Some days it's sunny, bright, and calm, and on other days it's stormy, dark, and unpredictable. The problem isn't the fact that you feel emotions, because emotions are a natural part of being human. The real issue begins when you allow those emotions to drive your decisions, shape your behavior, and dictate how you treat people. When your mood is in control of you instead of you being in control of it, you end up reacting instead of responding, and reactions often lead to damage that can't easily be undone. Mastery over your mood doesn't mean you suppress what you feel, it means you manage it. You guide it, and you don't let temporary storms destroy permanent opportunities. Think about how many mistakes people make simply because they couldn't control their mood in the heat of the moment. Anger makes them say things they regret. Frustration makes them quit too early. Sadness convinces them they are powerless, and jealousy blinds them to their own blessings. These moods come and go, but the consequences of acting on them often stay much longer. That's why discipline over your emotions is one of the greatest skills you can ever develop. When you learn to pause, to breathe, and to process before you act, you stop giving away your power to feelings that were only meant to pass through, not take over. Controlling your mood is also about consistency. People trust those who are steady, not those who change with every emotional wave. Imagine a leader who is unpredictable, calm 1 minute, explosive the next. Nobody knows where they stand, nobody feels safe, and respect starts to fade. But when you remain grounded regardless of how you feel inside, you create an atmosphere of stability that others can depend on. Your ability to remain composed under pressure makes you valuable in any situation, because while everyone else is losing control, you are still standing firm. This discipline doesn't mean you never feel negative emotions. Anger, sadness, disappointment, fear, they will come, but the difference lies in whether you become a prisoner of those emotions or their master. Mastery means you can feel anger without turning it into destruction. You can feel sadness without letting it turn into hopelessness. You can feel fear without allowing it to freeze you in place. You acknowledge the emotion, but you do not bow to it. Your mood also affects the energy you spread to others. Walk into a room with bitterness and negativity, and the whole atmosphere shifts. People feel it, they absorb it, and it drains them. But walk into the same room with calm confidence, positivity, and control, and the room shifts in a different way. People gravitate toward those who know how to carry their emotions with balance. They admire those who don't let stress show on their face, who don't allow frustration to spill onto everyone else, who can walk with peace even in chaos. One of the most powerful aspects of mood control is patience. So many people destroy opportunities simply because they couldn't wait, because they let frustration decide for them. Patience requires emotional maturity. and emotional maturity requires self-control. When you can remain patient in moments where others rush, you put yourself in a position to see clearly and make wiser choices. Finally, understand that your mood is contagious. Your family feels it, your friends feel it, your coworkers feel it. If you wake up angry and carry that anger through your day, it spreads. If you wake up determined and positive, that spreads too. The discipline of mood is not just about protecting yourself, it's about protecting everyone connected to you. When you control your mood, you carry peace, strength, and stability wherever you go, and people will remember you not for the storms you felt inside, but for the calm you carried outside. Money is one of the greatest tests of discipline because it doesn't just expose your financial habits, it reveals your mindset, your values, and your vision for the future. The way you handle money says more about you than the amount you actually have. Some people waste it the moment it comes in, chasing temporary pleasures that leave them empty and broke. Others hoard it, afraid to spend, living in constant fear of losing what little they have. And then there are those who learn to respect money, not by worshipping it, but by mastering it. They understand that money is a tool, not a master, and when used wisely, it can create freedom, stability, and opportunities not just for themselves, but for generations to come. The problem is that too many people are slaves to money without even realizing it. They let money dictate their happiness, their identity, and their decisions. They chase after it at the expense of their peace, their family, their health, and even their integrity. But true control over money isn't about how much you can make. It's about how you manage what you already have. Without discipline, even a fortune will disappear. With discipline, even a small income can grow into something meaningful. It is never about the size of the paycheck. It is always about the choices you make with it. Spending recklessly is one of the fastest ways to destroy not just your finances, but your peace of mind. Every impulsive purchase brings a moment of satisfaction, but leaves behind a trail of regret when the bills come due. That cycle of temporary highs and long-term stress keeps people stuck. But when you begin to spend with purpose, to plan, to prioritize, you start building stability instead of chaos. Budgeting isn't about restriction, it's about direction. It's telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Then comes saving. Savings is not just money in a bank, it's security, it's breathing room, it's the ability to handle life when the unexpected shows up. Emergencies don't schedule appointments, they arrive unannounced, and if you haven't prepared, they can break you financially and emotionally. Saving isn't glamorous, it doesn't get applause, but it is the quiet discipline that separates those who survive storms from those who are destroyed by them. But saving alone isn't enough. Growth comes from investing, from multiplying what you have instead of letting it sit idle. Investments don't only mean stocks or businesses. It can mean investing in yourself, your skills, your knowledge, your health. The most powerful returns often come from what you pour into your own development. Because when you grow, your capacity to earn and to manage increases as well. Discipline with money means balancing the present with the future, enjoying life without sacrificing stability, and preparing for tomorrow without forgetting to live today. Money also has a moral side. How you use it reflects what kind of person you are. Do you use it to lift others, to help your family, to create opportunities for people around you, or do you use it only for selfish gain? The discipline of money is not just about personal success, it's about responsibility. Because money in the hands of the undisciplined becomes a weapon of destruction, but money in the hands of the wise becomes a tool of impact. Stress over money is one of the leading causes of broken homes, failed relationships, and sleepless nights. Most of that stress comes not from lack of money, but from lack of discipline with money. If you cannot control your financial habits, money will control you. The ability to step back, to plan, to say no to impulse, and to think long-term is what separates those who live free from those who live chained. The discipline you show with money is the foundation for the freedom you experience in every other area of life. The mind is the control center of everything you do, the battlefield where victories are won and defeats are decided long before any action takes place. If your mind is undisciplined, your life will follow the same path. But if your mind is trained, sharpened, and focused, there is no limit to what you can achieve. Every thought that enters your head has the potential to grow into a belief, and every belief you carry shapes the way you act. The problem is that most people let their minds run wild, filled with distractions, negativity, and doubt. And then they wonder why their lives feel stuck, chaotic, or unfulfilled. Discipline over the mind doesn't mean you never think negative thoughts. It means you refuse to let those thoughts take root and control your destiny. Your mind is like soil. Whatever seeds are planted will grow, whether they are good or bad. If you constantly feed your mind with fear, with comparisons, with hopelessness, then you will harvest insecurity and inaction. But if you feed your mind with knowledge, with positivity, with faith, and with vision, you will harvest confidence, determination, and progress. The difference between people who rise and people who remain stuck often comes down to what they allow to live inside their minds. You cannot live a positive life with a negative mindset. You cannot expect growth if your thoughts are constantly shrinking your possibilities. Training your mind requires focus. In a world filled with noise, distractions, and endless temptations, focus has become a rare strength. The ability to shut out the chaos and lock in on what matters is what separates average results from extraordinary ones. But focus doesn't come naturally. It comes from discipline, from creating habits that reinforce clarity and rejecting habits that scatter your attention. When you control your mind, you learn how to protect your energy from things that waste it and redirect that energy toward things that build your future. Another aspect of controlling your mind is resilience. Life will throw challenges, failures, and setbacks your way, and your response will always depend on the condition of your mind. A weak mind breaks under pressure. A strong mind adapts, learns, and grows. Resilience is built when you stop seeing obstacles as endings and start viewing them as lessons. Every failure is data. Every setback is training. Every hardship is preparation. A disciplined mind doesn't collapse when life gets heavy. It adjusts, it strengthens, it pushes forward. Self-talk is another powerful weapon of the mind. The words you say to yourself echo louder than anything others can say about you. If your inner voice is filled with doubt, criticism, and fear, then you will carry that weight everywhere you go. But if your inner voice speaks strength, encouragement, and possibility, then you will carry power into every room you enter. Training your mind means reshaping the way you speak to yourself, replacing thoughts of limitation with thoughts of opportunity, shifting from I can't to I will. The mind also needs discipline in what it consumes. Just like the body is shaped by the food you eat, the mind is shaped by the information you allow in. If all you feed it is gossip, negativity, and distractions, then your thinking will reflect that. But if you feed it wisdom, ideas, and knowledge, your thinking will expand. Controlling your mind means being intentional about what you read, what you watch, who you listen to, and what you focus on. Ultimately, the mind determines the quality of your life. Every achievement, every mistake, every breakthrough, every downfall, it all starts with a thought. When you learn to master your mind, you stop being a victim of circumstances and start being a creator of outcomes. The discipline of the mind is not about perfection. It is about direction, about choosing to shape your thoughts instead of being shaped by them. Control is not something the world will hand to you. It is something you must claim for yourself. If you do not govern your own choices, your own habits, and your own behavior, then someone else will gladly step in and do it for you. Life is always trying to pull you in different directions, by distractions, by temptations, by other people's opinions, by pressures you didn't ask for. The question is whether you will stand firm in discipline or drift along wherever the current takes you. Control is not about restricting yourself. It is about protecting your focus, guarding your energy, and setting the tone for your life instead of letting outside forces set it for you. When you allow the world to control you, you become a passenger instead of the driver. You move according to circumstances, reacting instead of leading. One negative comment can throw off your confidence. One setback can make you abandon your goals. One temptation can undo months of progress. But when you take control of yourself, you strip away the power of external forces. You no longer bend to every opinion, every distraction, every urge. You stand in command of your choices, and that gives you strength that no one can take away. Control begins with self-awareness. You must know your weaknesses, your triggers, and your tendencies. Too many people ignore these things, and because of that, they fall into the same traps over and over again. If you know you are easily distracted, you must discipline your environment. If you know your temper rises quickly, you must practice patience before the storm comes. If you know certain habits are pulling you backward, you must cut them off at the root before they destroy your progress. Taking control means refusing to live blindly, choosing instead to study yourself, to understand yourself, and then to master yourself. Control also means sacrifice. You cannot indulge in everything and still expect to grow. You cannot chase every desire and still expect to win. Discipline will demand that you say no when your impulses scream yes. It will require you to walk away from temporary comfort in exchange for long-term growth. Many people never reach their potential because they refuse to make those sacrifices, because they let their urges speak louder than their vision. But real power comes when you can deny yourself what feels good now in order to create something greater later. Another part of control is consistency. It is not enough to control yourself for a day or a week. It must become a lifestyle. Success is not built in bursts of discipline followed by seasons of carelessness. It is built by steady, daily choices that align with who you want to become. Consistency is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Anyone can be focused for a short time, but those who take control every single day, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching, are the ones who rise. Control is freedom. It may sound like the opposite, but it is true. When you control your mouth, you avoid the chains of regret. When you control your mood, you escape the prison of emotional chaos. When you control your money, you break free from financial stress. When you control your mind, you rise above the limitations of doubt. Self-control doesn't limit your life, it liberates it. The person who cannot control themselves is always at the mercy of someone or something else. But the person who takes control is free to move with purpose, with strength, and with vision.